And that's why there could not be a Bigfoot living in your backyard. All right, we got time for one more question. Let's see what it is. What is autism? Well, this is a great question since April is Autism Awareness Month. Okay, first let's find out what you guys think. What do you think autism? What do you think of when you hear the word autism?
When you don't like sounds, loud noises, or lights.
Okay, you don't like sounds, loud noise, loud sounds, loud noises, or lights. You.
When you have a hard time making friends.
You have a hard time in social situations. Over here.
When you flap your hands a lot.
Okay, some flailing and flapping.
When you repeat words over and over.
All right.
When you need things the same way all the time.
Okay, that's a lot of great answers. Annie, what do you think is the right answer?
Everyone.
You think everyone's answer was correct? Well, you're exactly right. You see, autism or autism spectrum disorder is a broad range of conditions that are characterized by challenges like that we just mentioned: social skills, repetitive behavior, flapping, speech, and sensory sensitivity. There isn't just one type of autism. Yes, sir?
Spectrum. What's a spectrum?
Good question. A spectrum, it just means that we can measure something on a scale. So, for example, those things that we just said, we find some of those things in all of us, right? How many people here are afraid of loud noises or bright lights? How many people here get a little shy when you're meeting new people? It's hard to meet new friends. Or when you get excited, you go like this. The energy just gets so big. Yeah, there's a few of us who do all of these things. So we're all somewhere there, but it's not a disorder until it affects your daily life so much that you need help. It creates a significant difficulty in your daily living. And when we do those things, it doesn't. If you were a person who is autistic, those characteristics would affect your life in such a way that it would make it a lot harder to live, in some ways. Now, over here, sir, you had a question.
Sensory sensitivity. What's that?
All right, good question there, too. We don't know a lot about what causes autism. Some people might think it's genetic, some people might think it's environmental, but what we do know is it has a lot to do with the brain. Let's take a look at the brain. Can anybody tell me how the brain gets its information?
From the senses.
Correct, from the 5 senses. And what are they? Our sight, smelling, hearing, touch, and taste. Now, in a person who is autistic, their brain might look a little different in how their brain gets the information. In some cases, the wires and the pathways may be mixed up. In some cases, they may be extra strong. And in some cases, they may go to different parts of the brain. So in some places, there's the super senses. Yes, ma'am, question.
That doesn't seem like a bad thing. It seems like superpowers.
You're absolutely right. Having a brain that's wired a little differently can cause people who are autistic to be very, very good at certain things that we find difficult. Math and music and art. There's even been cases where a person who is autistic said that when they see numbers, they feel emotions and feelings. So how would you like it if you could just look at your math paper and say, I feel what the right answer is. This is a very hot answer, so I know it must be 5. Be pretty cool. And it causes them to do a lot of amazing things. On the other hand, having these heightened senses can also make things very difficult. Imagine walking down the hall this morning on the way into school. What are the things you saw? What are the things you heard? Did it bother you? No, probably not. Let's take another look at your walk-in And then we're going to take another look at a person who is autistic walking into the same school, what they might feel and see.
Hey, Daniel.
Hey, bro. Do you want to hear a joke? What do you call a bear with no teeth? A gummy bear. Did you hear about the whale that choked on an apple? Ouch.
Hey, man, want to hear a joke? How many syringes does it take to screw in a light bulb? A fish!
The dog? Ow, 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 ah!
Okay, so we just saw a glimpse of what it might be like for a person who's autistic to walk down our hall. You know, that seems pretty rough if you had to face that every morning. That's why maybe some of these hand gestures are shielding themselves, protecting themselves. What can we do to help a person who is autistic? At our age, we know there's a lot of kids in our school who are autistic. And what can we do to help them? It's great to be friendly and kind. It's great to be patient. You know, try to be extra patient because now we know what they might be going through. And we can help kids learn rules, you know, the rules for being a friend just by watching and helping us, or by watching us. It's also to include our friends with autism into our group from time to time.
To be honest, Mr. House, I don't know if I would want to be friends with an autistic person. I feel like it would be embarrassing or a lot of work.
I understand that. I understand. Sometimes it is a lot of work, and sometimes they do things that might embarrass you. But let me ask you this. Would you want to be friends with Tim Burton? Do you know the guy who created Nightmare Before Christmas? And a lot of other really great scary movies? All right. What about Albert Einstein? The most E equals MC squared, smartest man in the universe. Do you want to be friends with Albert Einstein? That'd be cool. What about Bill Gates and Elon Musk? Very successful businessmen, right? All right. What about Steven Spielberg, the guy who made Star Wars? Charles Schultz, the guy who made Charlie Brown. And let me ask you this in particularly. Would you want to be friends with Satoshi Tajiri?
Who's he?
Satoshi Tajiri? He is the man who invented Pokemon. Would you want to be friends with him?
Yeah.
Well, he and all the other people I just mentioned are people who are autistic. Does that change your mind a little bit?
Yeah.
So people with autism are not ill and they're not broken. They just have a unique view at the world. And if we're patient, good friends, we just might get a glimpse of the treasures that they have inside their mind.